Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I want to show you Cattleya tigrina. Here's a name tag for this specific individual. As you can see, it was called Cattleya leopodill, and now it's been renamed to tigrina. Leopodill is after one of the king, I think in Brazil, whose last name was Leopoldo or something. Being named after a Brazilian king, it's probably a Brazilian species, and that's correct. It is a Brazilian bifolia species. You see on this pseudobulb, it has two leaves, and it's native to the part near, it's closely, its distribution overlaps with Cattleya intermedia and Cattleya purpurata or Ladia purpurata, and it's about 3-5 degrees latitude south and north of São Paulo, the southeastern part of coastal Brazil, and it's from the coastal swamps with an elevation not more than a few hundred feet. So it's a lowland species native to coastal swampy areas, so you can probably guess it likes it warm and high humidity. I grow mine mounted, and granted, I don't really have that kind of humidity inside, but so far it still has pushed out a lot of roots. Okay, so this is a plant that is in bloom to the right, and here is one plant. This is a cross between an AMAOS cultivar Paul and SVO Dark Wonder, and I got this plant from Smith, and over there, here, this king belongs to, or this pseudobulb belongs to another plant. This is a cultivar Sandbar Giant. I believe it's a Mary clone of an FCC plant. And neither of these are in flower, but you can probably see this one is pushing out a new growth, and this one is about, don't focus on my finger, focus on the plant. It's about to push out a new growth, and both of them are pushing out pretty nice looking roots, and even some of the roots that I didn't cut off are also pushing out new roots, like they're branching. So like when you repot them, some of the old roots, don't cut them all off. Once they are a certain length, they certainly can branch, and Cattleya tigrina is such a vigorous species, its roots are just awesome. When I mounted these, I basically removed all the roots that are in the way of me putting the plant nicely to the mount, but I still try to keep as many roots as I can, of course, but some of the roots are just really in the way, because like when the rhizome is creeping along the mount, the roots would be going sideways, but when it's growing apart, it would be going down, and I didn't want the roots to be in the way, so that later when I take the zip ties off of the mount, it's gonna be unstable or fall off or something. I want it to be as closely adhering to the mount as possible, so I ended up losing a lot of roots, which is not ideal, but as you can see, they're all bouncing off back pretty okay. The pseudobulb is a little bit shriveled, but this pseudobulb actually has been plumped back up a little bit since the initiation of a new root system. And speaking of the root system, you see that this is the pseudobulb that is in flower right now. However, this one doesn't have any root on it, and this is one of the species that initiate root growth after a pseudobulb is matured, or even after it's flowered. And you might be able to tell this base is getting larger. You can't, but it's getting larger and larger every day. I feel like I'm sensing there are roots poking out. I didn't peel the sheath back, but hopefully it's pushing out new roots soon. But yeah, because of that, a lot of people think this species is finicky to grow, and you don't want to disturb it unless it's in active root growth. That is certainly the most ideal case scenario. You want to repot it when they're actively initiating new roots. and when the root is about like a 1/4 inch long or even shorter, that's in my experience the best. But as you can see, all three individuals on this mount are stripped off of their roots and weren't in that stage when I mounted them. It might be too early to say, but so far they are doing okay. So this is also goes to say that this species and a lot of the orchids are really tough species, and they probably, hopefully, will survive without too much setback. If you think 2 flowers is setback, yeah, it is a setback, but most likely, hopefully you won't lose the plant. It's just not gonna be great, but I feel like I did it for the longer term benefits, so hopefully I could justify it, but we'll see. Maybe, 5 years later I will tell you this is not a great idea, but so far, I feel like it's still okay. Okay, back to the plant itself. Let me step back a bit and focus again. This is already a tall plant, and I got this one from a back bulb division. If you trace the rhizome on this plant, here was the end of the rhizome, the oldest pseudobulb, the second oldest pseudobulb, the original cut of the rhizome, and that front lead was sold, and the back bulb branched this new rhizome and gave rise to this pseudobulb that's right now in flower. And of course, this one only has one leaf. That's also a sign of saying it's not in its best condition. But the oldest pseudobulb is turning yellow, and the leaf on the second oldest pseudobulb is also turning yellow. And the plant is just really trying to pull its energy to pull through this pretty hard, transition and changing environment. But hopefully it will pull through, and I will keep you guys updated. And okay, back to the original topic. The plant itself is not small, and these two I bought them in 6-inch pots, and they're also not small. And the plant itself the species can get to a few feet tall, and it's not just the height that matters, the width, the spread. It's a really robust looking plant when it's a full size. The pseudobulbs are thick and plump, the leaves are wide and thick, and the plant just takes a lot of space. So if you don't have that much space, maybe you don't want to grow this plant, but just something food for thought. But I couldn't resist, because apparently this flower is supposed to have really intense fragrance. But before going into the fragrance, look at it. It's so cute. The lip, the side lobe of the lip is, this hot magenta pink color, and on the sepals and the petals, you see those dots that some of them coalesce, some of them are still individual dots, and this is similar to what on the other flower back there. It's not uncommon to see these dots on the bifolia species, making these species frequently used in the hybridization of dotted Cattleya flowers. The flower itself is not the biggest. Here's my hand for comparison, but when the plant is really happy, it can make a spike that is like full of flowers. It feels like a I don't know how to describe it. Look it up, you'll see. It's like a head full of flowers. It's gorgeous. So I think in one of the articles from American Orchid Society, they say what they lack in size, they make up in numbers. That is so true with this species. Nonetheless, with just 2 flowers, I still really enjoy this plant. And actually, it has been pretty fragrant. It's not as fragrant as was initially imagined. I was hoping it would just fill my entire apartment. It didn't. In my experience, it's the same strength as Cattleya lutmaniana, and the scent itself is kind of a smoky scent. I know some people say it's spicy, some people say it smells like bubblegum. To me, it smells like smoky, and it's not the type of scent that is soothing and it would just like gradually like dissipating the air kind of feeling. It's the feeling that it's pow in your face. Look at me, I'm so smoky kind of feeling. but you know, scent is perceived differently, and so you might have different experience with it. It's definitely unique. And speaking of the strength itself, just a short discussion about it. I know I love scented flowers, not just orchids in general, plants, and there are many factors that can perceive how we can impact how we perceive scent. For example, the humidity in the air. When the humidity is higher, scent tend to linger for longer because you know they're just molecules, and the air movement. When the air is really moving, the scent tend to diffuse a lot better. So in those cases, my apartment is not very high humidity. It's about 35% right now. And in my experience, a lot of the more fragrant plants don't smell as great when the humidity is low. And also, I don't have a lot of airflow. I have some mild airflow. So those might be impacting it. But when I stand close to it, especially earlier in the day when the plant is in the sun, I can get wafts of it. It's more like every time I'm like, I wonder this thing smells. I'm not noticing it. And then it reminds me that it's there and it smells nice. And the flower, the petals, the sepals are just, you know, this waxy, plasticky feeling. Unlike many of the unifolia labiata type of Cattleyas, it should be pretty long lasting, probably a few weeks. My apartment is also on the warmer side, so I don't know if it will last for 3-4 weeks, but hopefully it will last a while and I can enjoy it for a little bit longer. Is there anything else I want to talk about? I can't think of anything. So I wanted to at least show you some of the other plants that are in bloom that are not orchids, and also those could be the reasons why I can't perceive this one scent so much. What do I mean? Okay, follow me. Please ignore this entangled mess, but see this jasmine blooming right here. You know, wouldn't it be nice if jasmine flowers are just as long lasting as orchids? But they're not. But this is super fragrant, and the star of the fragrance, in my opinion, I'm sorry for the entangled mess. Okay, here, where is it? There. You see those yellow flowers? It's hidden and it's really hard to reach and it's blocked by the vines, but that is Clowesia cordata. It's my first time seeing its flower, and that scent is magnificent. It's okay, I'm gonna zoom out so my shaky hand doesn't make you nauseated. This scent is exquisite. It is it's native to, I believe, Asia, and it smells the strongest in the evening or the sun is not right there. But it smells like how I imagine the tropical greenhouse would smell like. And even if I'm in the same apartment all day, I can still smell it. It fills the entire apartment, just those 6 flowers. I counted it. I don't know if you can see all 6 of them. It's in the same family as milkweed and Hoya, and it's just so strong. It's soothing, it's subtle but not too subtle, it's not faint, it's just refreshing kind of scent. I love it. And that's probably why I'm not smelling the tigrina as much, because usually early morning the tigrina smells the strongest, and as the day progresses, this plant really comes on. So that's that. And lastly, I still have my Brassavola nodosa, just a really reliable repeated bloomer, and some of the buds are right there. I saw some aphids, so this bud might be a little bit deformed, but I removed it, and hopefully this will be fine. I have some nodosa, and those are big flowers. Like again, hand for comparison, these are bigger than some of the other nodosas, and this one is really strong at night. And I also still have my Digbiana that I showed you in my previous video in bloom, you can see the frills is getting a little bit on its way out, but the flower still smells. So a lot of scent at night, a lot of scent in the morning, and my nose is kind of getting a huge treat of all the wonderful stuff the plant kingdom offers at the moment. And actually, lastly, I got this plant. It's in spike. I'm really excited because I can feel the actual inflorescence like about here already. And this is a Ports of Paradise Emerald Isle. This is probably my favorite hybrid. I don't really love all the hybrids, partially because I'm too lazy to keep track, and also I feel like for species it's unique and just the way nature has it, and sometimes you can infer how to grow it by how it has in how its natural habitat is in the nature. But Ports of Paradise Emerald Owl is my favorite, one of my favorite. It's half of the parent is Digbyana, the other half is I think BLC or LLC Fortune. I forgot what's in it. I think it's about another, for the Ports of Paradise, it's in about another 30% Galliana and something else. And I feel like when I had an Emerald Isle before, and I'll definitely show you this one when it's in bloom, but I gave that to my friend after I moved away, and that plant, I don't think it's there anymore. But when my previous Emerald Isle bloomed, it's so nice. It's a nice mixture, I believe, between Digbyana and Daliana. That's how I imagined it, but I imagined that after knowing its parents. So I don't know if I'm biased or not. But that's gonna bloom maybe in a month, maybe in 2 months. So super excited for that. And my King Adam is pushing out new shoots. I don't know if you can see, but that's okay. And this one that I bought as a Jungle Nobility, I don't really know what it is because the cane looks too thick to be Jungle Nobility. And I also heard the seller sometimes mix up the labels. But regardless, this one is also pushing out new flowers in this spike. You can probably already see the contour actually of the spike in the sheath, like right there. So very soon I will be able to tell if it's really a Jungle Nobility or not. And lastly, truly lastly, I feel like I've said that word so many times. Let me show you my Rebecca Northern. This one, can you see? There's standing under this vine, so I'm smelling the Clowesia cordata again. It's pushing out 1, 2, 3 new shoots on this one single slow bulb. I'm super excited for it. I love Clowesia and Rebecca Northern. I've grown Cattleya types before, but most of them are really big, well, relatively to this one. And I couldn't clean all the spider mites in time, so I'm opting for a smaller plant, and hopefully I can take care of all the spider mites on those leaves this time. But yeah, super excited for it. I've always been intrigued by Cattleya types and how the rest in the winter and grows really fast in the summer. This also coincides with like holiday season travels pretty well. So I'm super excited for this one. And with that, I will shut up and hope I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye.